Well, hello again. Good to see you once again. Today I come to you from a place far, far away. Well, actually, no, not so far away. It's only really a couple of hours away from Canberra. I'm in the town of Temora, which is a fairly typical country town in many ways. It's reasonably active during the day, certainly gets quieter when the sun goes down at night. Like most country towns, it has a fairly rich sporting history. Harness racing certainly has quite a history here. Paleface Adios was a champion runner here for many years. Of course, harness racing's still running here. It only runs about once a month, so certainly not as much as it does at some of the metropolitan tracks, but still quite a fixture in town. Greyhound racing here pretty much every week, so plenty of racing in Temora, which is nice. So it does make a nice little getaway sometimes. And one thing that I do when I get a bit of time to get away from town is to do a bit of thinking. It's always nice to be able to do a bit of thinking when you have some quiet time away. And something I've been thinking about quite a bit lately, and a little bit more on this trip, I suppose, is the rise of artificial intelligence when it comes to betting. Now, as I've said before, I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to artificial intelligence, in that when I think of artificial intelligence, I think of something like the Terminator. You know, machines that are just fully sentient and independent and act on their own. They have some programming, obviously, but they can intelligently adapt as they go. They don't really need any sort of human input, and probably they can make more of their own. AI, I suppose, is heading that way to an extent, but it's certainly not there yet. So my skepticism about AI is not really about whether AI exists. It's about what it's actually capable of. So because of my skepticism, I've been a little bit behind the curve on AI, especially when it comes to its use in betting. Now, the way I look at AI really is it's more of an analysis engine. Generative AI certainly gives the impression of being able to think, because it can more or less talk to you in your own language, but quite naturally it'll write out something in natural language. But even then, if you're looking carefully, you can tell AI generated content. If you look at a lot of social media posts that are AI generated, or even YouTube videos where the script is AI written, um, the voiceovers are a bit of a giveaway there, but the script does tend to follow a bit of a pattern, especially when you get to a section in there where it will say, it's not this, it's not this, it's this. Or the other bit where it usually gets to, but the thing that people don't know or don't realize, or the bit no one wants to talk about. It's just phrasing things in that way because someone's told it that at some stage that is how you're persuasive in writing, and it's decided that that is how it will do persuasive writing. So all of its marketing pitches across Facebook and other social media tend to follow that pattern, so it can be pretty easy to detect. But aside from its little eccentricities in that way, the actual analysis it can do behind the scenes is quite useful. Now, a little while ago, Stephen Michael released a book in the betting bookshop about using AI in betting. I've been having a little bit of a look at that lately, and it's given me something to think about. As I said, I am a bit of an AI skeptic, but the book sort of helps to frame a bit of how to think about AI and to use it to its best in this way. Now, the way I look at AI is as sort of like a ghostwriter for a book. If you're someone somewhat famous and you're writing a book, and how many famous people have we seen who've allegedly written books? You can often tell they're ghostwritten because they'll have the famous person's name in huge print, and then the name of someone else, very, very small print, as a co-author, or sometimes the ghostwriter isn't even there at all, but the famous person has just written 15 books in 6 months. Yeah, they're ghostwritten. But, beside the point, the ghostwriter for the book will have been given instructions. I want you to write about this topic. I want you to write it from this perspective. I want you to research these things to help reinforce the point. And I want it to be in a sort of narrative style that leads to a conclusion which points people in this direction. The ghostwriter will go away, do some research, write the book. There'll probably be quite a bit of back and forth, quite a few drafts along the way, but ultimately the way I look at AI is you're using it very similar ways. You'll tell it, I want you to do this particular thing. I want to know about this. Give me information about that thing, or analyze the history of this and tell me what's going to happen in the future, or predict what will happen. What the AI is coming back with is very much like that first draft from the ghostwriter. It's not final information by any means, but it's a very good step along the way. And it does an awful lot of heavy lifting for you in terms of research. Now, it's not perfect. It might hallucinate some things. So you still need to proofread it. You still need to edit it. And you might need to tell it, this bit doesn't look right. Go back and check that. But ultimately, it works in a similar way to a ghostwriter with an author. The AI is basically your ghostwriter. Now, in terms of this betting and AI, as I said, because I'm a little bit of an AI skeptic, or at least I have been, I've been a little bit behind the 8 ball on getting behind AI, and it has been growing quite exponentially in terms of its use in betting. This particular book looks at that and looks at how you can use it to analyze things and to come up with approaches to betting. Now, it could just be you want to know about a particular game, there's a football match later today that you want to watch, and you think, I'd like to have a bet on it as well. The AI might give you some ideas about some markets you hadn't thought of that would be good for betting on that game. It might also be that you actually follow one of the teams in that, and you want to know, what are their chances of winning, or what do they need to do to win, or what's something that this team can do in one of the little sub-markets that I could bet on. Maybe it's a particular player is likely to score, something like that. I can't really go into too much detail of what the book actually says, but it has certainly given me a bit of a better perspective on how to approach AI in terms of betting. Now, the book certainly goes into how to use a lot of the common AI tools, OpenAI's tools, ChatGPT or Google's Gemini or whatever, and how to get them to act in certain ways. The way I look at telling AI to act as a certain role, maybe starting with the phrase, act as my betting analyst and blah, 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 blah. I don't think that really changes the analysis that the AI does behind the scenes, but it does change the way that it writes its output. So if you were to instead say, act as a newspaper editor and a newspaper journalist maybe, and give me some insight into what might happen in this game. It's going to probably do the same research. It's just going to phrase it differently to how it'll phrase it if you've asked it to act as your betting analyst. In terms of how I've found the book useful in sort of my own thinking of AI, obviously I do mostly automated betting. So systems for automated betting is what I look at, and I have previously looked at the SPM bot, the soccer price monitor bot. My previous looks at that probably haven't been as successful as they could have been because I was probably relying on the AI a little bit too much and its predictions of how the games would go or how many goals would be scored or whatever. the book has helped me to treat the AI predictions as a little bit more of a guide, and then think about what other factors might be in play that the AI isn't seeing, and how do I then approach that in an automated environment to come up with good results. So that's something I'll go into in a future video, something, because I have been working on that in the SPM bot, but it's helped to reframe my thinking on AI in betting. So I've found the book to be quite useful. I actually will put a link in the description below to it in case it's of interest to anyone else. But certainly I think there is quite a bit of a future in AI in betting. And I think it's something that, if it's not something you've looked at before, or it's something you've only sort of touched the surface on, this book will certainly give you some instructions on how to use AI in your betting, but I think it will also help you to think about it more and to think about the structure of it, because this is a field that's going to change. It's going to evolve. The analysis that the AI systems do is probably going to improve. The more data they have, the more it's probably going to improve. But on the other side of it, the AI tools have probably enhanced the bookmakers' analysis. They've used algorithms for years to shape their markets, and obviously they're shaping it in their own favour. So they've got years of experience with the algorithms, and they're now applying AI to that. So the AI is, I think, probably helping to level the playing field a bit, because you're getting access to a lot of the same tools that the bookmakers are using against you. So in those ways, I think there's quite an evolution in terms of where AI is going in betting, and I think having an understanding of where it is now will help you to think about where it's going in the future and how it can help you to bet more smartly. And I think it certainly helped me with that. And a lot of my own thinking about AI obviously is grounded in my own thinking about betting in general. But certainly I think the book has helped to clarify the role of AI in my own mind in terms of betting. So I've found that to be quite useful. One more thing before I go, and this has absolutely nothing to do with AI, but I'm at the Temora motor inn, which is probably quite aptly named because Temora was a goldfields town in its early history. These days canola is probably one of the main products here, and that was really no good for my hay fever the last time I was here, but beside the point. One thing I was very pleased about, most motels supply some milk to their customers. This one, the Temora motor inn, is supplying Norco milk to its customers, which to me was really pleasing to see, because Norco is a farmer-owned business from northern New South Wales, where pretty much all of the profits stay in Australia with Australian farmers, which is great. So I was really pleased to see that. Norco produce a bunch of flavoured milks that I generally take to work with me, which I think they're wonderful. And unlike a lot of flavoured milks, they use full cream milk in them, which is not skim milk. You know, if the good Lord had intended for us to drink skim milk, he would have put cows on a diet. So I like full cream milk. At home, I generally get Tilba milk from the south coast of New South Wales. But it's just great to see a small local business supporting other Australian-owned businesses. So it's just something really, really good to see. Anyway, that's all from me. I'll put the milk back in the fridge. That's all from me for now. So I hope to see you again soon. Until then, happy punting.